There are considered to be several areas of study where such a change is necessary. As science is beginning to reach the bounds of what it can do with purely object-oriented ways of thinking.
One of them is quantum mechanics. In quantum mechanics, you cannot really say this is a property of an object. If you measure something in one way, you find certain properties. If you measure in a different way, you really get different properties which are not always compatible with each other.
The uncertainty in quantum mechanics is not simply a lack of knowledge about an object, but a limit to the value of a single set of properties in explaining the object that is the problem. In quantum mechanics, every experiment for the unknown is also an interference. For that reason, the subject-object relation becomes very important at the subatomic level.
The second point, of course, is neuroscience. When people start making images of the brain, by definition, they start making some sort of dictionary, some sort of correspondence or transformation between objective properties and personal experiences.
In a study of the brain, for example, the subject has a personal experience and has to communicate to the researchers, has to tell the researchers what he or she is thinking about or feeling during the experiment. This information gets correlated with the chemical and electrical processes in the brain that the researcher is studying.
So there would be no sense in understanding consciousness if you only would measure the electrochemical processes in the brain. You want to know how it corresponds with the human conscious experience. So this is the second place that the subject comes in.
The third place where science and technology need the role of the subject is in robotics. Past attempts at predicting the future, even as recently as 40 years ago, failed to consider the most important technological advancement in the home today, the use of computers. However, 40 years ago, there was a common prediction in the science fiction community about robots.
The idea was that in a few decades, every house would have a robot which would clean the floor and do all kinds of things. But here we are 40 years later, and we still don't have robots in the house.
The basic art of robotics is simplicity itself, a few wheels and an arm which moves. Mechanically, a robot is no more complicated than a car which is produced by the millions every year.
What is the reason that we don't have robots is that we don't know how to program the robots. We don't know how to write the software to clean the floor. It sounds crazy because cleaning the floor seems easier than anything else, but we can write the software to beat the strongest chess player in the world, but we cannot write the software to clean the floor. And this shows that we don't know how to make a tool, a robot, which is a subject.
But when man attempts to build and program a robot, he is really building a subject that moves around by itself, a subject that responds, anticipates, and behaves.
And I think that the reason that we are still not very good in building robots is because we don't understand the subject. As a culture, we have spent 400 years really focusing on objects and we have neglected the subject. And now we have to come back and really become more balanced in our understanding of empirical studies and our understanding of experiments and experience.
We all live in a society which is dominated by technology and science and its object-oriented approach to existence. So, no matter how little interest we have in science, it still influences the way we think. And the scientific focus on the object has a very strong influence in society, a focus which has some negative results.
So, no matter how little interest you have in science or how little you know about it, you're thinking, by being in this country, by being in any Western country, and very soon any country in the world will be very strongly influenced by scientific thinking. So you see people treating each other and treating themselves more and more like an object, and that is really a pity.
As opposed to science, religions are, historically, more focused on subjects. If the scientific method must move toward a new paradigm, one that focuses more on the subject than just the object, this can be considered a revolutionary notion. Dr. Hutt thinks that we can get close to the reality of existence when we study it with all the human faculties, whether through objective and subjective experiences or through intellectual, spiritual, physical, and artistic exploration of reality.
I want to be more specific, and I really would like to explore a very broad way of studying reality in a deep way from all possible angles, including science, including religion, especially spirituality, especially contemplation and meditation or mysticism, you can say. And of course there are many other angles. There is art, there are other cultural ways of exploring reality.
Returning to the past, Dr. Hutt can see that the great sayings and advice from men and women from all the great religions of the world are a kind of science that crosses all cultures and share a common bond. They are the product of many years of training, study, and meditation, of spiritual practices, and of prayer.
So those people who are ready to take the old way and to have a portable short version, they can do that. And there are many ways, there are many teachers, there are many ways to try and do that in modern life.
However, the pace of modern life does not permit the average person the luxury of attaining such wisdom over a long period of time. What if one could try a way to distill the essence of past wisdom and apply it to one's own life and its connection to one's family and work?
Well, I think the answer in principle may be found in the reports that people have given who have had a deep realization hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. If you look at the story of the greatest individuals in any tradition, whether it is Hinduism, whether it is Taoism or Buddhism, Christianity, Sufism, in all cases you have somebody who is trying for many years to reach deep insight, and then when a real deep insight comes, their reaction is that, oh, that is surprising, it has always been here, I just did not know how to look at it. So any real spiritual path seems to boil down in the end to learn not to search. So we are searching, and then we have to learn not to search and to completely let go of the idea of searching, and then something presents itself.
He believes that attaining that level of reality is the key to solving many of the problems of today, such as hunger, war, or environmental destruction. Those problems can never be solved on the level they appear. Whenever man creates new laws to make people behave better, people will invariably find new ways to get around those laws.
Any solution which is given on the same level as the problem is presented will never completely cover everything. We have to come at a solution which is much deeper than the way the problems are presented. So if we can see reality better, then in a very natural way we will find more effective ways to deal with all the problems. And I think that every religion has some words of wisdom which were found a long time ago, which have been handed down the ages.
We live in a world where our understanding of existence is constantly developing. As we touch more of reality, our horizons expand, leaving us to wonder how much more remains unknown. Dr. Pete Hutt believes one seed of wisdom will always remain: the need for each one of us to step back and contemplate our deeper purpose in the grand scheme of life. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. For Matter and Beyond, I'm Laura Wells. Please join us again next time.